welcome everyone to Professor Lin's workshop. And today I am proud to have this opportunity to talk about how to do literature review and the systematic literature review. So in any case, if you are at the stage that you are going to do your research or you are taking research methodology course, come for 695, or you are planning to write a paper, write a conference paper, journal papers, and so on, then this talk is for you. So let me, I think all of you can already see my screen now, right? So you cannot, you don't need to talk because I can see you. I have a full screen in front of me. So if you see I am looking different way, that's because I have too many screens. All right, so let's start. So today we want to talk about how to conduct a systematic literature review or literature review. And everything I talk here is based on my experience, my personal experience. I have been editor-in-chief in different journals. I have been organizing and being the program chair and the conference chair for many conference. So that is about, I think, since I organized my first conference, that is about more than 17 years. So everything you hear from me is based on my personal experience. Of course, different researchers, different supervisors, professors, they may have more detailed requirements. So you may always want to double check whether or not they want more or they want less. So now let's start. We are talking about four things: literature review, and then systematic literature review. So you probably will wonder, what is the difference between these two? Only one word difference means anything. Yes, this means a lot, and actually the efforts are also a lot. So don't underestimate this systematic word, because that will cause you problem. You will say, oh, I want to quit now. So that is something I wanted to let you know. And then I will talk about a very important diagram, which we call prisma. So I will let you know what the prisma means. So you will know this is actually stands for something. And then, of course, now it's generative AI's world, right? Do we have some help from generative AI? Yes, we do. But personally speaking, I just want you to know this. But I probably will not really hope you are using that. But if you are using that, it should be fine, because everything I introduce here, actually, they are helping you. You are still the one needed to read those papers. They help you to summarize, to find the relationship, but you are the one to read, to digest, to summarize them, and also maybe doing some kind of analysis. So why we need to do literature review? Usually literature review is trying to making sure you are comfortable on what you are going to propose. So for example, you are proposing some kind of educational game. Why you need that? You need to double check whether or not people in this field, they either have already done that, or they also say in their future work, this is very important. In that case, you have support for what you are doing. Second, no matter what kind of research you are doing, usually you need to do evaluation. But why you collect data like this? Why you analyze this data with that approach? That is another thing you can get support from literature review. Because you can say, see, I have read 10 papers. Out of 10, 8 of them, they are using this way to evaluate the performance. That is why I also use this way to evaluate the performance of my system or my learning system. that we are making sure no one will argue why you use this methodology, why you collect data with this questionnaire, why you analyze your collected data with that approach. So that is why we wanted to do literature review. So usually doing literature review is for your research plan or a mini proposal or a conference paper. Why? Because they usually require you to read something like 12 to 20 papers. So you read 12 to 20 papers, that is good enough to support you are going to do this research. But we are not good enough to support your claim in terms of the details or the motivation and other things. This is just a starter. So that is what if you are taking COM4 95, which is a research methodology course for your research plan and a mini proposal, you only need to read related 12 to 20 papers. Sometimes you may say, wow, 20 papers, that's so many. No, actually they are not. Why? Let's say we wanted to do a mobile educational game, learning something. See, you needed to read the papers regarding one research area called mobile computing or mobile application or mobile education and mobile learning. The other one is you want to read a paper about educational game or game-based learning or game-based training. And then you may want to read some papers about how e-learning or a learning system can really help, or this kind of learning system can really help people to learn. They do have benefit. They can help people to increase their academic performance. They can making sure that the students, when they are using learning system, they will have a better, or you can increase their mastery skill or degree. See, you need to read the papers from 3 areas, which means if we are reading 20 papers, you only need to read 6 papers for each. See? Don't even mention if you try to split it down, making if you trying to say, oh, I wanted to talk about game design. I wanted to talk about the game learning effect or effectiveness of game-based learning. Or I wanted to focus on, for let's say, language learning. So I want to focus on language learning, whether or not people they use game to help people doing language learning or historical learning or cultural learning. So see, when you split it, it's turned out that you only need to read 2 papers for the effectiveness of game-based learning. 2 papers for how to use game for language learning. 2 papers for another thing. So see, 20 papers actually is nothing. Okay, now, but you have another problem coming out again. How can I find the paper? So the first thing is you need to pick up your keywords. Don't worry. Many people, they have some kind of worry about what kind of keywords I should have. Don't worry about that. Just pick up the general keyword first. And then later you will be able to find other things. So now I would like to let you know, that is what I say, general keywords. So general keywords means very obviously the keywords. For example, I want to do mobile learning. I want to do a mobile game. I want to use mobile game for cultural learning or something like that. So in that case, you already identify 3 major keywords: general keyword, mobile learning, cultural learning or cultural-based learning or inquiry-based learning. And the third one may be, as I say, educational game or game-based learning. So those are general keywords, which means if you are using those keywords, you definitely will find thousands of papers. And of course, those thousands of papers are not what you want to read, right? So actually, you will try to take a look at their paper title, take a look at their keywords and abstract, and then you will find, oh, this educational game research, actually, they are trying to teach students physics. I'm trying to use language, not or culture, not about physics. So that is not what I want to see. So you will very quickly to filter out those not really a match to what you want to do. On the other hand, once you find something interesting, which is also related to what you want to do, for example, treasure hunting. Treasure hunting, using treasure hunting to learn culture or historical facts. There are many research about that. So when you find that, you can read the abstract, take a look at their keywords. Now you have some specific keywords which you never thought that they are important, but then you see 2-3 papers, they all have these keywords while you don't have, which means that specific keyword may be also important to your research because you already found those research they are important and related to yours. So the keywords they use, or the key terms, or the key authors, or the key research they mention in their paper will be also important to you. So in that case, you can put the other keywords into your specific keyword. So now you have a general keyword set, you have a specific keyword sets. And you need to try to find papers multiple times, not just one time. Many people, they do a Google search and done. No, at least you should do 3 times of research because the first round of research, first round of search, you only get your general keywords. You probably only identify 2 or 3 papers or 5 papers. Then you will have some specific keywords add on to your general keyword set, and then you can do another search. Now this time you probably can see more related papers, and then you read them again, another 5 or another 7. So now you already read 12 papers, right? So in that case, you probably will enrich your specific keyword set again, and then you do the 3rd time of searching. Now the other 7 papers or 8 papers you found. So at the end, you are capable to find 20 papers. So when you are doing search, please do not use Google. Please use Google Scholar, not using Google, because Google is just Google all the materials out there, but the Google Scholar is focusing on papers. And when you use Google Scholar, I will teach you how to use Google Scholar later. You need to remember to check the years, making sure that because this is the first round, second round, or third round of research, which is just to help you to build your research plan, right? So don't consider to read a 10 years ago paper. You do know that for example, when we are talking about game, do you still believing that if we create a game like a Mario, Super Mario, is still attractive to your target users, like for example, high school student or university student? Maybe not, because time is changing. So many researchers, I need to say, be very frankly, fortunately here we don't have other researchers who are doing game-based learning, but I always say that as a game-based or educational game researcher, you need to play game. If you don't play game, then you are always thinking about 20 years ago's game. not the today's game. So you need to making sure that you know what right now people they are expected to see. Then you can create some kind of game which really can be used in the real area, in your real world. So that is why we don't take a look at 3 years older or 5 years older literature, because this is the first part. You need to making sure that your support is coming from recently, not 10 years ago. Very similarly, mobile app. So you can consider 10 years our mobile phone versus today's mobile phone. What kind of features, device difference we will have right now? AI. What is the difference between 10 years ago's AI and don't even think about 10 years ago, 2022. Since GPT coming out, ChatGPT coming out, the AI application is totally different than 5 years ago. So that is why, remember, please, at this moment, don't consider any older papers. And also you need to consider that try to find journal papers first. Why? Because journal paper, let's say conference paper usually only have, for example, 3 pages to 5 pages, maximum 8 pages. On the other hand, one journal paper may be 20 pages. So you can see you are an author, so you know how many things, how much space you need to fill out when we have 20-page limit versus 3-page. So that means conference papers, they are usually not really reachable. They only consider very small part because they have a very limited space. On the other hand, journal papers, they have 20 pages. So they need to cover literature review, they need to cover design, analysis, implementation, evaluation, finding discussion, everything. But they cannot fit into 3-page or 5-page easily, right? So that is why I would suggest you to consider journal papers first. But you can also consider, for example, last year's conference paper. Why? Because usually journal paper, their publication process is about 1 year to 2 years. So even you see a journal papers published today in 2024, the research actually was maybe 2022 or 2023. On the other hand, when you see a conference paper this year, 2024, usually the research was 2023. So that is why we still consider the latest conference papers may be helpful. But when you're talking about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, then I would strongly suggest you take a look at the journal. Now, searching. So actually, I already covered this part, so you know that trying to consider 3 years ago, I will say 3 years old research first, and then 5 years old research, and then others. There are some exceptions. The exception is if you see when you read 10 papers, they all refer to this 1995 research, then you should take a look, because probably that research is the gold standard, or some kind of dreamer who proposed this idea at the very beginning. So making sure that you will also read those classical papers. If you see many papers, they all cite this old research, then probably it's very important. For example, I would like to ask you, everyone, do you know what is our first chatbot? Our first chatbot is Elisa. So no matter right now, even you are doing generative AI right now, you need to refer our first chatbot. And our first chatbot, our second chatbot is also very important, but actually it's not really the second, but that is very important, called Alice. Why? Because Alice is still living out there, and they also have Alice Foundation. See, that is even better. They have Alice Foundation and they are still working because Alice is the technology that they first separate the brain and the talking feature from the chatbot. So right now, your ChatGPT actually, their brain is a large language model, and then they are talking. So if you are doing generative AI chatbot, you need to refer Alice because Alice actually is the first one to divide them. And the Alice research is also starting from a long time ago, but when they become famous, that is about 5 years later or 6 years later, their idea had become something people they say, oh, it seems very important. So see, a research will not get the impact very quickly, but maybe there will be legacy, and even perhaps your research can become a foundation. So that is what I said earlier: first round, second round, and the third round. So you will try to do that one by one. One thing very important is many people, when you are doing Google search or Google Scholar search, how many pages you will go through? 1 page, 2 page, 3 page. Many people, they consider, see, Google, so it should be most important or related things should be at the first page. So I don't need to go to the second page. Unfortunately, according to my experience, when you do this kind of search, especially in Google Scholar, I will suggest you to walk through the first 10 pages. And usually, actually, according to my experience, what you want to see will not be maybe on the first page you will see 1 or 2, but actually most of the important papers for you will be showing up on page number 4 or 5. I don't know why, but that is very very frequently happening. Yes. So don't really just go through the first page, and then, as I say, the custom range very important. The second one is you need to uncheck. Remember, uncheck patterns, uncheck citation. And you need to, when you have the result, take a look at the right-hand side, trying to pay attention on those papers you found which you have something at the right-hand side. Because in that case, it means you can download immediately. You don't need to do other search anymore. So that is something I would like to suggest you. And nowadays, you will see a lot of papers coming from arxiv.org archive. So this archive .org is a kind of self-publishing service provided by a university. And nowadays, people, they sometimes they don't even not submit papers to a conference or journal. They publish their papers directly here in archive.org. And also some people, they will publish their papers on archive.org and then submit a revision or submit updated version, or even submit original version to a conference or journal. Usually conference and the journal, they are still accepting. They don't consider this is a plagiarism things. So why? You probably will ask why I want to upload or submit my papers to archive.org, because first of all, it will give you some kind of ID, and that ID can help people to find your paper very easily. Second, you can upload a different version constantly. You can change it. And when your paper got accepted by a conference or journal, you can have a note there and even redirect the people to that conference or that journal. So that is why nowadays there are many papers, many publications coming from archive. So you should take a look. This is what I will say. So you can see at the right-hand side. The second thing is you can see you put some keywords. As I say, these keywords are general keyword, but if you want, you can add another keywords, which is what we are going to talk later, systematic literature review. And in that case, you will see a lot of people doing systematic literature review for you. For example, you see a paper published in 2023 talking about generative AI or talking about a chatbot, and usually they will go through some years, for example, from 2000 to 2020 or from 2010 to 2020. So they will help you to summarize everything so you can use them as a kind of your support or motivation because they already done something for you. So this is something you can add to your keyword set, systematic literature review, or survey paper, or what else? Literature review, you can still also use that, or meta-analysis. So now, the difference between literature review and the systematic literature review actually will be a huge. So when we do systematic literature review, because there is a keyword called systematic, which means you need to identify your target source. You cannot do Google search. You need to go to a journal to search with their system, which means all the papers coming from that journal, you need to do a search and then filtering out. And also, you need to avoid the conference proceeding, books, and book chapter. As I said earlier, the conference, because the size, and also one reason is the conference. Some conference, they are just trying to make money. So as long as you submit, no matter what kind of things you submit, you will be accepted. You will be published. So in that case, those conference papers, they may not have enough quality, but in the good journal papers, they have quality. That is why their review process is 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, or even 1 year and a half. I have a paper submitted, I think in 2021, and I got accepted in 2023. That is 2 years. So and we revised the papers, I think, more than 4 times, and every time we get another new 3 reviewers give us comment and a suggestion. So when our paper get accepted, actually we already got 12 reviewers. So my collaborators actually was considering to give up, but I say, why not? Why give up? Because they are not rejecting you; they just ask you to do change. So let's do the change, and then we try to again and again. So see, that is what we have now. Systematic literature review process. Basically, you don't need to worry about the links. I can provide this PowerPoint slide to everyone. So you don't need to worry that. If you want, you can also send me an email. I can also directly send it to you. Otherwise, I can send it to Professor Oscar Lin, and he can forward it to all the participants. So the first thing I would like you to do actually is go to take a look at this YouTube video. It is a very short YouTube video, about I think 5 or 7 minutes, talking about the whole systematic literature review process. So it will be very helpful, 7 minutes only. And then I would like you to take a look at the difference between systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Because most of systematic literature review, they are meta-analysis. But you need to know meta-analysis paper, they will definitely be a systematic literature review, because they just use the final outcome you get from systematic literature review and then doing quantitative data analysis. On the other hand, you can still have some systematic literature review. They are not quantitative, but qualitative. So I also give you some good example. If you take a look at this computational intelligence paper, you don't need to know what is computational intelligence, but take a look at that. They don't have numbers. They will tell you what they learn from those existing research, and they will conclude the most prediction infections. They summarized, and also, sorry, actually, I'm totally wrong. Forgive me. This is quantitative, this is qualitative. So this qualitative, actually, I know some of you may want to design a game. So this one definitely is what you should take a look, because in this paper, designing engaging games for education, they read a lot of papers and then they tell you what kind of things you should design in your game. They conclude that. So they are not using what we call quantitative or numbers to tell you that. So, for example, we all know that in the game we have a level system, we have an experience point and other things. So they will let you know how to design your game-based learning system so it can provide the users better learning experience and engagement. So these tables, you don't need to pay attention because actually I already put a link at an earlier slide. But I just want you to know that, see, we do literature review, and then it can become systematic literature review. And the systematic literature review, if we use meta-analysis, then, use quantitative data analysis, then that will be meta-analysis. So you can see it will say that, for example, eligibility criteria actually is part of systematic literature review. Protocol is part of systematic literature review. Process is part of systematic literature review. So actually they are almost the same, but the difference is about analysis. So this is just for your information, and when you download this 2-page PDF, of course, you can see more detail of the difference. Now, how to identify your target source? There are two ways. The first way is simplest one. The second way is a little bit difficult. You can consider to use either way. The first one is by publication, and as we said earlier, journals only. So usually I would suggest you to go to Google Scholar top publication list. If you Google this term, top publication list, you will definitely find this link directly, no worry. And then when you go to this link, you can see different category, different subcategory. So for example, if you are trying to do a kind of machine learning or AI or recommending system or test summarization system, then you should choose a category like engineering and computer science. And under this category, you can see there will be computational in linguistic, which means how to make a computer understand what we are talking. So that is linguistic. The second one is because when we are talking, we may have some kind of a talking pattern or wording pattern or something like that. So you can also take a look at the computer vision and the pattern recognition. So pattern recognition including image, but also sometimes including the signal, and sometimes actually including the behavior, like a time series behavior. If you are doing something like what we do, we have a research called Next Stop Recommender. So according to you use your mobile app, we can collect your usage pattern, where you are, you visit somewhere, how much time you spend there, and then we try to find your pattern, and your behavior pattern can be grouping with others' behavior pattern. So in that case, actually, we can find that you and me, we are similar people, because we always go to there, go to that, place. Although you spend 20 minutes there, I spend 21 minutes, but our pattern is identical or similar, something like that. Artificial intelligence, data mining and analysis and so on. So there are many subcategories here. I just give you some kind of example. Depending on your research, you can choose your category and your subcategory. Then the second methodology actually is the researcher work. So I will talk about researchers' work later, but the idea is simple. When you read a paper, when you read enough paper, you will find that, when you hear, my God, John, that is the guy, that is a big name. So what you will do? You will try to go to his website, take a look at his publication, and see usually which journals, which kind of publication venue this expert will use. And in that case, probably that is the publication you should take a look because, for example, this expert is doing research. It's very similar to your field, and he or she always publish their paper at A and C and F journals. So you should consider to go there and search for your keyword to see other papers also published there. So that is research works. The last method actually coming from the first one. So when you have the top publication list, you can try to focusing on some kind of index-based journal. I will talk about this later. So this is what I say. You have a category. You can identify different subcategories. So you can see there are so many, right? Architecture, artificial intelligence, civil engineering, computer security, and something. So take a look, see which one you like. And then if you like, click on that, you will see this. It will give you the top 20 of publication in this area. So remember, one publication may be seen in different areas. So it will happen. Don't be surprised. You will not always see every category has their own 20 publications. No, sometimes you will see a publication also happening here in computational linguistics and also be seen in natural language processing and so on. So that is what you can do. Each of them, they have a so-called H5 index. Just an education opportunity education condition here. In research, in academic research area, we are emphasizing what we call H index. What H index means? If you publish 10 papers, and you have some papers they have been cited by others once. You have some papers they have never been cited by anyone. You have some papers cited by someone else twice. In that case, let's say if you have 10 papers and one of them is cited by two times by other research, and the other 7 is cited by others once, and the remaining 2, there is no any citation. In that case, your H index will be 1. Because we always need to consider one paper has already been cited one time. Although among your 10 papers, you have one paper has been cited for 2 times. But you don't have 2 papers cited by 2 times. So you cannot get 2. You only have 1. So that makes people will be more and more difficult to, increasing, right? Yes, let's say you do have a paper has already been cited 25 times. But how about 5 years later? Just as I told you that we don't really appreciate that so old publication, right? So you will not getting cited frequently, or even you will get less and less people they want to cite your old paper. So even you have an old paper which has already been cited 100 times, so what? If you don't have 100 papers, they all have been cited 100 times, then you will not get 100 for your H index. So that is in academic world. Right now, we are always consider H index, which is very important to represent your quality, your research quality. So in here, Google also use H5 index, which means 5 papers. Okay, you need to be cited 5 times. So how many of the papers you have already been cited 5 times? So that is here. And you can see different category. They have a different 20 list, and some of them they have a very high H index. Some of them they actually the top one only have 129. What did we say earlier? Avoid conference proceeding, books and the book chapter. I forgot to tell you why avoid the books and the book chapters. First of all, for books, everyone can self-publish their books. So actually, they probably will not be reviewed. Second, even you purchase that book from Amazon, can you expect your readers will also purchase that book? Probably not, right? So after even you cite this book, people they will not buy that book. They cannot access that literature. So in that case, whatever you say is meaningless to them. They prefer to see that you cite many resources they can access rather than they cannot access. On the other hand, book chapter is even a little bit worse. I do have some book chapters. I do have edited books, but personally speaking, why I will not suggest you to cite any book chapter? Because when I am a book editor, I will try to talk, Professor Oscar Lin, can you contribute one book chapter? Oh, Professor, can you contribute one chapter? And so on. So basically, when they say yes, I will be very glad to accept that and publish. At the end, I am editor. So the second thing is if the other professors, they are a book editor and they invited me to submit a book chapter, then I will say, I have A research. The A research is quite good, but I can publish in journal. B research is not so bad. I can publish in conference and then I can go to Japan to have sightseeing. Probably I can publish this C, which is not so good, or maybe D, which I have already published and I reorganize everything and compile them and submit it to your book chapter. So see, that is why book chapter is not really useful, because they are sometimes in the most of the case you are taking a look at some kind of integrated result, or sometimes you are taking a look at some what in our mind that is not so good, so we submit it to you. So that is why we avoid the books and the book chapters. Now, go back to take a look at this. So when I'm doing systematic literature review, I would suggest that you, first of all, strike out any conference. So you can see the red one, they are conference. Very easy to know which one is a conference, because they usually will have the keyword like a conference, meetings, workshop, these kind of keywords in their publication. So it will be very easy to you for to strike out them. You probably will say, wow, why 20 top 20 publications, there are more than 10 or 12 conference. Of course, because they will have more citation. Because when they consider the top 20, they actually use H5 index. So that is why conference papers, they usually got a lot of citations, and also a conference proceeding will have, for example, 100 papers or even 200 papers, compared to a journal in a year only have 20 papers. So that is 1 year's volume is good enough to cover your 10 years. So that is why you will find that most of the top 20 will be the conference. And then I wanted to tell you one thing. If you are doing natural language processing, this is the only conference I will suggest you to not ignore. That is ACL. ACL is the only conference I will suggest you to keep it in your list, because when we are doing natural language processing, most of researchers, they always publish here first before they publish anywhere else. That is why it is very important to take a look at ACL conference. There will be some other conference in other areas. They are very important. For example, W. W is another conference which you will not ignore, because W, their acceptance rate is about, if my memory is correct, is about 10%. So basically, when we attended that conference, there are 300 people attend, but actually only 20, they are authors. All of them, all others, they are audience. They want to know the most latest work in W in web. So that is something you need to know. Of course, as I say, when you read more, when you get involved in this academic longer, then you will be able to identify more. So I need to tell you that 5 years ago, every year I review about 300 papers from journals and the conference, which means I almost need to read 1 paper or 2 papers a day, every day. And those papers, they are coming from unpublished research, right? So if you wanted to step into the research area or wanted to become a researcher, a professor, a doctoral degree, postdoc, you may want to know this is something you must to be involved. So here you can see I delete. Some area you can see conference is not so many, because like artificial intelligence, they are a very mature area, so they have already been 50-60 years. So many publications, they are so old, so they have already accumulated a lot of citations. And then you wanted to eliminate the irrelevant journals, which is not related to your research. So that is the second thing you need to consider. So in this case, for this place, you can see number 20. Number 20 is in black. So black is something we didn't delete, but this time I need to delete because they are not related to my research. On the other hand, this one you can see there are number 5, number 8, number 10, number 17, number 18. They are deleted. You probably will ask why I deleted that. Because in this research, we are discussing about text summarization, which is about natural language processing. But in computer vision and pattern recognition, this area, there are many journals is talking about image processing. So those image processing is not related to my natural language processing, right? So that is why even there are journal, I remove that. I didn't remove this pattern analysis and machine learning because it's talking about pattern. It's talking about machine learning, but I don't know whether or not they will talk about natural language processing, AI. So I keep that. Similarly, AI, usually AI is related to natural language processing. Okay, this is, and again, opportunity education. Most of you, your AI is not our AI. As an AI researcher, we are more focusing on natural language processing, more focusing on rule-based system, expert system, statistical natural language processing. And right now, because of generative AI, so we also have one branch called neural natural language processing. But your AI, your definition of AI usually is about machine learning, because machine learning is about neural networks. So like using neural networks to do fingerprint detection, facial recognition, emotion detection, and so on. They are using neural networks, and neural networks belonging to machine learning field. So it is a kind of a gap between your definition and our definition. So you can see that because I'm doing natural language processing, so when I go to AI subcategory, you will find that the very last journal I will delete because most of them, they are what we need. I only delete this expert system, fuzzy system, because I'm not talking about fuzzy. Fuzzy means today is hard. So what is hard? 29 is hard, 28 is hard, or something else. So that is fuzzy. And because we are doing natural language processing, so we are not consider this fuzzy system, and so on. Now, again, making sure you don't have duplicated journals. After you done this, you will find that, okay, at the end, I have 4 publications, including 3 journals plus ACL conference, and 3 journals in pattern recognition, 13 journals from AI, 7 journals from data mining. That is what we can do. So this will be your target source. So remember, your target source will be this, how many? 27 journals, 27 publications. That will be your target. On the other hand, as I said earlier, you can go to research.com. If you go to research.com, you can see something like this. They tell you that, oh, see, this guy has more than 250,000 citations. That is a very, very famous people in this field. So you can try to see all countries, computer science, and then you can try to search a name, or you don't search a name, and so on. So they have different computer science scientists, AI scientists, and machine learning scientists, and so on. So with this way, you can very easily identify who is the big names. And then you can go to their website and see what journals they are publishing their result. And if their publication is related to yours, then what is that journal? That could be your target sources. The last one is when you see those 27 journals, not all of them have been indexed by database. We have many databases like Scopus, like Web of Science, SCI and SSCI. So you can double check whether or not the journal belongs to SCI or SSCI. You probably will ask why. Because different country or different region, they actually have a different idea about whether or not this journal is a high quality one. So many people, many researchers in Asia, especially in, for example, in Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, China, India, they will only consider SCI or SSCI journal are the best. And for Southeastern Asia countries like Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, they will consider also consider Scopus. So that is why we can consider those journals. Because if you don't consider those journals, or you consider more others, then those Asian researchers, they will say, oh no, you are not doing a good job in systematic literature review because you are reading those journals. They are not belonging to SCI or SSCI or Scopus. So I don't want to read. See, that is bias. But unfortunately, you need to know the environment in Asia. Professors, if they want to be promoted to associate professor or full professor, they need to have a publication in SCI or SSCI. Otherwise, anything else are not counted. So you cannot brand them why you only take SCI, SSCI, or Scopus as your target, because that is what they can be promoted. Also, you can see many impact factor. So usually those SCI, SSCI will tell you their impact factor. So impact factor higher will be better. But remember, that is just a kind of a mathematical calculation. So it is based on citation in the year D for those articles published in D1, D minus 1 and D and D minus 1 divided by how many papers published in D minus 1 and D minus 2. So only 2 years. So which means when you see, if you see a journal has impact factor 1, means that they publish 10 papers and they got 10 citations every year. Okay, but does that also mean your paper get 1 citation? No, probably not, because they publish 10 papers. One is yours, and one of them get 10 citation. The other 9, including yours, get 0 citation. Then the journal still has 1 impact factor, but your paper has never been cited. So that is why if you take a look at Google Scholar, you will see that every paper, how many citations you have. So even you don't publish in those SCI, SSCI journals, you get 10 citations a year, which means your impact factor is 10. But the people, they are not really talking about that. So in any way, that is identified. So once we identify, we do not use Google or Google Scholar. Remember, we do not use Google or Google Scholar. And then we will try to go to publications website. So let's take a look at one of the journals called Data Mining and Knowledge Discovery. So if you go to our Athabasca University, you can then click on journal title search, and you can enter the title. You will be able to see Data Mining and Knowledge Discovery. And then you click this link. This link will bring you to this kind of credential entering user interface. So enter your student ID or your account and password. Then you will be brought to Springer, because data mining and knowledge discovery is covered by Springer link. Then you can put your keyword sets here. So when you put your keyword sets here, you can find many results. But that is not enough. You need to click on this gear icon. In this gear icon, you can see there is an advanced search option. So go to advanced search option, and then you can put all of your keywords. And you can say if you have exactly the keywords, or you have only one, or you have everyone. And you also can specify different years. How to use that? No worry. Most of the database will provide search help. So they will tell you how to use different way to create your search, including the operators. For example, using and, or, and other things. So that is the way you get your papers. And once you have the papers, please do this. Don't read the paper. Please, again, only take a look at their paper title, their keywords, their abstract. If you need, you can also take a look at their conclusion. Maxima list 4. Because using this form, you can easily filtering out whether or not you want to read this paper completely. So don't spend 1 hour, 2 hours to read everything. Spend 5 minutes to go through what I say, title, keywords, abstract, and the conclusion, and then you will know whether or not you want it. At the very beginning, you can simply copy everything, and later you filter them out. You have your exclusion criteria. So I would suggest you to use a sheet, a spreadsheet or Excel file, Google Sheet. In that case, you can put everything in the columns, and you can have columns which is a kind of checked or cross or something like that. In that case, you can easily know how many papers you filed, how many papers you get it. But then after you read, you decided to filtering out. So that is what we bring out Prisma. So Prisma means preferred reporting items for systematic literature review and meta-analysis. Okay. You don't need to remember this name. You just need to remember Prisma is the flow diagram you should use. So if you prepare your Excel sheet like this way, then you can see we have different publications, and then we do exclude something due to some kind of criteria and other things. And then when we use our Prisma, you can see at the very beginning, we found 2,673 papers. And due to exclusion rule number 1, we decided to remove 689. And then we have remaining 1,984. And then due to E2, due to E3, due to E4, due to E5, we remove 1,897. So we only have 87 we need to really read. So you can see this is a menu review of full text. So now you read this 87, and then unfortunately you remove 71. So only 16 at the end support your research. I will like to remind you that this number will be better to be between 30 to 70. If higher than 70, you will need to reconsider whether or not you should do research, do this research, because it means a lot of people, they have already done the research in this area, so why bother to do this research again? So if you see you have more than 70 related to your research goal, then forget. Try to narrow down your research or find another direction. On the other hand, if you see too less, for example, only 7, then you may need to wonder, is this really worth to do? Is this really a research that people they will appreciate? And you need to consider maybe your supervisory committee member or even external reviewers, they may say, no, you only have 6 papers support at the end, which means this is a very, very small area. You shouldn't waste time to do this. So that is, I will suggest. 16 is not good, but we can still live with that. So remember, if you really have some number outside of 30 to 70, please talk to your supervisor, making sure that he or she can still support your idea, because sometimes, like myself, I will say, no, this is innovative. I can guarantee you. So even 9, we do. But on the other hand, they may say, no, that will be not good. So making sure that you do this. When you use Prisma, actually you can use different way. So you can see this is another example. All of the example I show you is coming from my student. So this is another example, which is kind of more detailed, like which criteria is excluding and excluding and excluding and excluding, and then there will be some kind of overlapping. So you can see sequence analysis, learning style prediction, personalized learning. There are 4 papers. They are belonging to 3 areas at the same time, something like this. Or you can even use a even better way, depending on you. If you really want to do, you can do. So you can see it's you this student using visualization to show you, okay, how each of the journals at the end they are filtering out. And even he provided this visualization interactive map. So people they can see his research, what is the relationship between others. I need to tell you that this research actually was conducted, I think, 2016. So by that time, actually, he created this interactive map by himself with software and entering all the data by himself. But right now, because you have generative AI, so sometimes you don't need to do that. I also wanted to let you know that this student is the only student in my last 17 years in Athabasca University. He passed his thesis final defense without any needs to do the revision. He is the only one. So he is really doing very, very good job. So in any case, if you want to read his paper, you can let me know. Sorry, I know I already passed the 8 minutes to our scheduled time, but I wanted to show you what you can do with generative AI. So usually we have this term called RAG, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So this is based on large language model, very similar to generative AI, but it's also depending on the input you will give them for reading. So it will read what you provide and then generate a response based on the things you provide. It will not generate something it's never seen before. So that is very important. You need to remember, if we ask ChatGPT some kind of concept, ChatGPT may give us a result which is valid, but not be told by teacher, or not agreed by teacher or professor, because you know all the concepts out there. Everyone has his or her priority and perception and attitude toward to some definition or methodology. So in that case, if you ask your students to learn directly from GPT or generative AI, then what they learned might not be what you want to teach or what you wanted them to agree with. So in that case, RAG will be more important. And people, they do have this kind of research. So you can see when you are using RAG, the generation quality, actually, you can see GPT-4 is here, the yellow one, which is in the middle. On the other hand, the llama is the red one, and the mockingbird is the purple one. So actually, right now, the best you can say model for RAG is mockingbird, according to the research here. So, but of course, it could change, but at least it can give you some kind of idea. Now, the other thing I want you to focusing on is this number, 72, 86, and English. How about other language? When we are using multilingual, the 72 become 53. The 86 becomes 78. So see, that is another issue in our research area, because most of the research are focusing on single language. And that might make the things worse when we are consider multilingual situation, especially let's say in Canada, or when people they are talking, for example, in India, when they are talking, actually they will talk in Hindi plus English. So there will be English word between the Hindi. So in that case, the RAG may not be good enough for that part. Okay, so I would like to introduce several RAG-based tools which can help you to do summarization for your literature review, but still I hope you can read by yourself, but it can give you something. So GPT Trainer is a very easy use. It has some cost and it also has some free tier, so you can still use that. So you upload all the papers you found. So you can see you upload all your papers you found, and it will occupy some of the space. And then you can start to talking to your GPT trainer. So you can say, for example, here is multi-level converter is useless. And then the GPT trainer will based on the content you provide and create some kind of summarization. And you can also see there are citations here. So you can double check. Remember, as the new generation in this generative AI era, I would suggest you to always practice your question ability. So everything you see, you need to question whether or not they are true. I need to double check. Until you double check, don't believe 100%. So, but this good thing is because they are using RAG. So usually the content is provided from the source. But you cannot. You need to know that when the content provides the source, how about if the content generated is missing one key sentence saying, oh, you shouldn't do anything below, but RAG giving you everything below without that line, then that is a problem. So that is why you need to practice your, you need to still read those citation to see what are the actual content in the paper they are talking. Vectara is I would say the most I will recommend because it is almost free. Even you upload, for example, 200 papers, you still don't need to pay anything. But it is not so interactive or so good like the earlier GPT trainer. You can upload, for example, here we upload 223 papers. And then when you are doing search, and it will still generate a summary for you, and will still provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 those citations for you. So it will be good. You can click and take a look, and you can always see the tags that Vectara they give to you. I need to tell you, actually, I believe Vectara belongs to a local company in Canada. They created this, and even maybe in Edmonton. I'm not quite sure, but you can take a look and try to register an account and use. Allen AI. So Allen Institute for AI. That this institute is earlier trying to help people to do the COVID-19 natural language processing application, and working with the White House to collaborate with all the major publishers to release their papers about coronavirus for free and so on. They do have a so-called semantic scholar, which you can do search immediately. However, the problem is they don't really allow you to upload your literature. So they are actually already help you to collect how many? 1 million to 200 million papers. So you can try. And I'm not quite sure about whether or not they are what you will want to use. Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit provides you very similar things, so you can upload your papers, every papers you collect, and then it can draw this kind of maps for you, and you can click on any node, and then you can see some of the papers and what is the key authors and other things. So it help you to do some kind of summarization and organization, and then you can do whatever you want. And you can see there are different sizes of the node, so which means larger one may be the better one. So we spent 1 hour and almost 15 minutes. Sorry about that. I try my best doing the literature review, and I talk about how to use Google Scholar. But remember, when we are doing systematic literature review, don't use Google Scholar, and we need to identify our target sources based on either top publication list or the researchers' work, the famous researchers' work. And you can use AU Library. AU Library almost can access any publications for free. So as long as you sign in with your student account or your faculty, teacher, staff account, that it would be good. And when you do the summarization, trying to have a Prisma, a flow diagram, and you can Google this Prisma flow diagram. You can see their statement, and they will provide you the PDF file. And we also introduce the retrieval automatic generation-based tool that can help you to do some kind of summary for the literature you download, and you can upload to those RAG-based tools. So thank you so much for having this time to meeting with me. And once again, if you are our master students and if you are new to our master program, I will definitely strongly recommend you to not taking COM 695 until the end, because COM 695 can help you to do your research plan. Once you have your research plan, you can start working on your essay, thesis research, project research. But if you take a COM 695 earlier, which means you may not be able to take any thesis or essay or project courses until 2 years later. So you already forgot everything, or your idea will already been taken by someone else in the world. So 2 years later, you may need to do that again. So that will be double effort. So that is why I suggest that you can take a COM 695 at the end of your program before you start working on the research course.